She's asking, when the mission was presented to you, how was it presented to the airmen? When the mission was briefed to you, what was the delivery?
Yeah, well, we were asked to volunteer for a mission and not knowing what it was. So we all volunteered kind of in the dark about what we were going to be doing. I volunteered because at the time I was crew chief, I was a sergeant, and they wanted airplanes with crews, and this meant that I could go with my airplane and do a job that I was already trained to do, so I went. None of us knew anything about what we were going to be doing until we were out in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So he's asking, did you understand the impact, how it would help the morale of America once you knew what the mission was?
When they presented the request for volunteers, we were given no information other than it was a dangerous mission. And it was put out a couple of different ways. They had put in a notice on the squadron ops board that you had to read every day. They wanted volunteers. They did it verbally, and when Colonel Doolittle came, and previous to that, he had asked for volunteers of a group, a 17th Bomb Group, and the whole group, including the commander, volunteered. But we did not know until we were 2 days at sea what our particular target was. In practicing takeoffs and so forth, it was very obvious that we were going to take off of a carrier, and we thought that we were being transported to some place where with the carrier so that we could take off and go to an island or someplace in the Pacific and land and start fighting the war.
Thank you, sir. If you couldn't hear what he was saying, is what you heard it? Okay. What he was asking was, how was the mood of the crews once you guys knew that it was a one-way mission?
We didn't intend to forbid one-way mission. We expected to be great China. So that was the mood of the crew. And when the announcement was made over the loudspeaker that our target was Japan, there was a huge shout went up all over the carrier. No one knew where we were supposed to go, especially the Navy personnel.
What did you think of General Doolittle as a leader?
Colonel Doolittle was a very persuasive individual, very charming. He wasn't pompous. He treated everybody with respect and very polite. And he was a team person. He was a team member, and it vibrated through the whole 80 people.
She was asking if while you were here during your training time, did you enjoy the Gulf Coast? Did you go fishing? Did you enjoy the area?
I can say that we did not receive any time off. And we were based in our quarters, and we weren't allowed to go off the base.
Can you describe some of Colonel Doolittle's leadership characteristics and how he acted upon getting on the ground in China?
When we bailed out, we bailed out at night, and we all had compasses, and at daybreak we started walking west, away from the Japanese. That night we were all together, and Colonel Doolittle was very interested in finding out what had happened to the airplanes and all the crews. And he located a place that had a telephone, and he spent at least 3 days on the telephone trying to talk to people that would give him some knowledge of what happened to all the crews. He also had some ransom money that in our trek through China, we were picked up by a young man by the name of John Burt, who was a missionary and was fluent in Chinese. And between the two of them, they tried to ransom the crews that were captured, but that turned out to be bad luck. And when we got to Chongqing, Colonel Doolittle was promoted to Brigadier General, and I didn't get to see him after a couple of days, so I really can't tell you how he acted, but he was very determined to make sure that he knew where everybody was in their condition.